The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Heads up motorists, a big-time oil price hike is expected next week. According to the Energy Department Oil Industry Management Bureau, gasoline prices could see a hike of at least 1 peso per liter, while both diesel and kerosene could be pricier by at least 2 pesos per liter. The Bureau said oil output cuts in Saudi Arabia are affecting prices in the world market. Oil companies will announce final price adjustments on Monday, which will take effect the next day. Now, if the price hike pushes through, it will be the fourth straight week of price increase for diesel and kerosene and the third for gasoline. Meanwhile, Tropical Storm Falcon is now within the Philippine area of responsibility. Pag-asa last spotted Falcon's center over 1,300 kilometers east of Central Luzon. It's packing 65 kilometers per hour winds and gustiness of up to 80 kph. Falcon is moving west-northwestward at 15 kilometers per hour. It is expected to intensify into a typhoon tomorrow but will remain far from the Philippine landmass. Falcon will likely exit the PAR on Monday afternoon or evening. Falcon's trough is triggering rains over eastern Visayas and Caraga, while the southwest monsoon or Habagat is bringing rains over the rest of Luzon and Visayas. Now, the rest of the country, meanwhile, may see isolated rain showers due to both the Habagat and localized thunderstorms. Now, in Bulacan, flooding from Egay enhanced monsoon rains has yet to let up. This was made even worse after 2 dams discharged water in the aftermath of the rain. 13 out of the 24 towns in the province are currently submerged in water. Meanwhile, Typhoon Egay with international name Doksuri is now wreaking havoc in China. After days of onslaught in northern Luzon, Egay is now unleashing heavy rains, causing floods in southern part of China. The typhoon's powerful winds also uprooted trees and blew away the roofs of several establishments. Egay's massive rain bands are expected to reach as far as northern or north of Beijing as by Sunday or Monday. Now, while rains pour here in the east, out west is a different story. Scientists say that this July is set to be the hottest month on record. But how hot is too hot? As Bloomberg Report explains.
The world is getting hotter, and no one is immune. But just how hot is too hot? It's not as straightforward as reading off a standard thermometer. Instead, scientists often use something called wet bulb temperature. But how does this work? In hot climates, people have one key method to stay cool: sweat. How much that can keep you cool depends on the humidity as well as the dry air temperature. And a wet bulb temperature measures both of these things. It's quite literally a thermometer wrapped in a wet cloth, and it shows the lowest temperature a person can cool themselves down to by sweating. Many researchers say that the highest livable wet bulb temperature for humans is 35 degrees Celsius. Past that point, you stop being able to maintain your core body temperature. And if you can't cool down quick enough, your organs start to shut down. Global warming is pushing us closer and closer to that limit. According to NASA, global temperatures have increased over 1.1 degrees Celsius since 1880. And since 2011, that's made 70% of extreme weather events, like heat waves, more likely or more severe. And this trend is only set to continue, with global temperatures predicted to hit record levels over the next 5 years. For people in already hot climates, every part of life will become harder. But those in cooler climates won't get off easy either. Food could get more expensive as harvests get smaller. Energy prices could jump too, as demand increases when more people switch on their air conditioning. At the same time, energy supply is squeezed, as the heat makes coal, gas, and nuclear power plants less efficient. Scientists are split on when we'll hit that critical wet bulb threshold. Some think we've already passed that point in many places along the equator, although not for very long. Others predict that areas in the Middle East and Southeast Asia will be regularly crossing that critical 35 degrees Celsius mark by 2075. But on the direction of travel, the consensus is clear. Extreme heat is becoming more common and more dangerous. And no matter where you live, no one will be able to avoid the consequences.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Local banks are seeing an increase in loan demand this third quarter. The Bangko Sentral said this includes both consumer and business loans. Enterprises are expected to seek more credit to finance their operations, while consumers are seen to get more loans as household expenses rise. However, banks are likely to tighten their lending standards for enterprises due to weak profit and liquidity, as well as risky borrowers on profile. Let's now take a quick look at other stories we're watching. The Philippines is still in talks with China on possible oil and gas explorations. Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo says terms of reference must be first discussed before any negotiations start. The Philippine Coast Guard has removed two of its personnel stationed in Binangonan, Rizal, where a passenger motorboat capsized, leaving at least 27 people dead. The PCG says this is to keep investigations impartial. And the Emmy Awards could be pushed as far back as January next year. This as writers and actors continue to go on strike in Hollywood. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 12 noon as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.